post-mortem analysis from Sirianni, who said he's standing by kicking that last field goal and going up 6 against the Falcons, even though football nerds say 6 is not that important.
Did he say that?
No. Take a listen.
I was completely convicted that kicking the field goal there was the right decision based off all my studies. Now, I come back and I reevaluate it, right? And I'm even more convicted, to be quite honest with you, because of just everything that goes into that.
Okay, can I just go for a moment? Thank you. All right, so we're no longer talking about the decision to pass. Right. We're talking about after that. It's a minute 40 left. It's 4th and 3. The ball's at the 5. What do? I just want to level set. If you go for it there, the best case scenario is game over. You win. Yep. Pick up 3 yards. Game's over.
Right.
The worst case scenario, if you go for it there, is Atlanta gets the ball with a minute 40, 60 yards away from field goal range, 95 yards away from beating you. So your best case scenario is you win. Yep. Your worst case scenario is they're 95 yards from beating you. If you kick, your best case scenario is you're up 6, which is what happened. And your worst case scenario, which is also your best case scenario, is they are 70 yards from beating you, same amount of time. Now, they no longer can tie you, but it's still, they are shorter to beat you than your worst case scenario of going for it. But that's not even the problem with the quote. The problem with the quote is what he said 1 minute prior about how what they did last week on Monday night or Friday night against the Packers informed his decision. Listen to it.
It was a little similar to the week before where we kicked the field goal. Now there was less time left on the clock, but we were 4th and 3 at the 3, which is arguably probably a little bit more, in my mind. You could go for that a little bit more in the Green Bay game than you do here.
Okay, that right there, you get your car keys taken away from you. Not even because you said a little bit more in the time, and the time difference was 27 seconds left in the game versus a minute 40. But it was the difference between they were up 2 in the Green Bay game. 2. So, yeah, a field goal there is massively valuable because now a field goal, if you're up 2 and you don't get it, now a field goal beats you. To treat being up 2 the same as treating up 3 and Bruin, the whole thing, he was like, I had my people run the numbers of whether with teams up 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Those are, you can't lump those all together. And if you lump those all together, you're cosplaying as an analytics guy. Because he pretends he's an analytics guy. He's like, no, we're thinking about it. But you don't understand what you're looking at.
The only thing I'll say, and I hear what you're saying, the probability of winning went from, it was 94%. This is according to NFL Next Gen stats. It was 94% before you would go that 4th down. Yeah. When they kicked the field goal, it fell to 85%. Okay, so that's 9 percentage points. Nick, they had held Atlanta to 1 touchdown the entire game. The last series by the Falcons, they stopped them on downs. I got to be honest, in that situation, you should feel good about we can stop them from scoring a touchdown. I think a big fault, and there were a lot of faults, obviously, and including Sirianni, but Vic Fangio going soft on defense.
I agree, but
like, stick with your regular defense that's been shutting them down all game.
Don't explain. Don't complain. When he's asked that question, like, I made the call. I'm not focused.
That's what Hub said. We're moving on next week.
Like, the fact that he has to explain his decision.
It shows the insecurity.
Exactly. And he feels like his job's on the line. But if you're like, well, there's 9% of this and this and that. Yeah. Like, and they just give people fodder to just rip them apart.
I also have terrible news based on Brew's dismissal of that 9 percentage points. You can't work on my coaching staff.
Wow. I'm sorry. He was the chaplain.
I'm sorry.
I mean the chaplain.
Uh-oh, upset alert. You might be thinking, what? I thought that's tomorrow. Well, special edition coming up in 3 minutes and 35 seconds.
Tiger out.
It's just facts.
People are good. For laughs, for snorts, for cries, and goodbyes. People are good for doing nothing or getting up to something. People are good. For you, Jim Beam.
It doesn't.
No, I will not be off. Their season will not be over. You just said it. 6 teams have made the playoffs after an 0-3 start since 1979. Well, they gonna be the one.
Is a positive
no, I'm just saying it's possible. Because we at 0-2, we're writing teams off. And Owen, we're always writing teams off. It just happened in 2018 with the Houston Texans with Deshaun Watson. Yeah. Now, they weren't, I don't even know if you believe, as good as this Ravens team. And here's the thing, Nick, that gives me even more reason. Now, obviously, they'd be on life support.
Yeah.
But I would not be like, they're done. They will not make the playoffs. And here's why. First of all, what we think right now is at least either the first or second best team in the AFC North, Cincinnati, is also 0-2. Now, they'll probably be 1-2. They play Washington, I think, after this weekend. But still, 1-2, 0-3 is possible. And they have all their division games left. Now, I know you got to win, obviously, outside of Division 2, but I still would not write them off. Last year, they went on a stretch where they won 10 of 11 games, all right? And so they can get hot. Now, I know their schedule is a monster. Well, that's legitimate. But quickly, Nick, I know they have some personnel differences, but if they're essentially the same team as they were a year ago, then they can come back from 0-3. Now, if they're not, if they're kind of what we've seen, and look, after the Chiefs game, no one was thinking, oh, they've lost it. They're not nearly as good as last year. They had a chance to win that game. And so I think last week was a fluke, although they've done that in the past. Yeah. They've lost leads. So, I would not write them off.
So I will. And and that'll be a flip-flop by me because I did pick them to go to the playoffs.
No data.
The schedule is the primary reason.
It's a heck of a schedule.
I mean, it is, as I said yesterday, there's 3 layups. Washington, Denver, Giants. That's it. Every other game is losable. Now, obviously, I'm not saying, but but
the division games are just tough.
Division games are tough. The team a lot of people thought was going to be the worst in the division, Pittsburgh, right now is the best. And Lamar, oddly, has only beaten Pittsburgh 1 game ever, and that was a game that Duck Hodges played. So that's the first thing it would mean to me. The other thing it would mean to me is, in addition to Jim committing football fratricide on his brother John, as far as took your coordinator, took your running backs, I'm rolling, your team's in trouble, it would also mean their offseason was full of mistakes. Because this was the best team in football last year until it wasn't. This was a team that had historical measures for success in DVOA, margin of victory, the thing leading in every game, blowing teams out. All of the above.
A bunch of good teams.
Right. 100% blew out good teams, blew out bad teams, and they decided, all right, we're going to, trade away an offensive lineman, let another one walk in free agency, move on from Patrick Queen, and our big offseason addition is going to be a big bruising running back. And if they fall, this should be the Derrick Henry game.
Yes.
The Cowboys, for 2 years, that's been their biggest struggle, stopping the run. So if they lose this game, to me, that will be an indication Derrick Henry's not working out so well. Or the defense is in total shambles. You know what I mean? It's it's unlikely Derrick Henry rolls and they lose unless the defense is just a debacle. And so, to me, if they lose on Sunday, I think they will be dead in the water.
Here's historically teams that started 0-3 after making the conference championship brew or the Super Bowl. The Rams made it to the Super Bowl. Both finished 7-9, and then Kurt Warner was the reigning MVP, just like Lamar.
And he's the only reigning MVP ever to start 0-3 at the quarterback position.
So, I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous. As a Lamar guy, I'm nervous.
Go over there.
Maybe.
Where?
I can stand by myself. You want to write them off. Just write them off.
Hold on. I want to be clear.
Just say it with your chest.
I'm not.
That's all right.
It hasn't happened yet.
Brew, I want to be clear here. I am not saying right now they're dead. I'm saying if they lose this game. And also, we can talk about this more tomorrow. This kind of has to be a Lamar over my dead body game. Kind of has to be.
We already had one of those.
I know that, and that's one of the risks.
2/3 of the game.
Well, it's too bad. Then don't blow the game to the Raiders.
Hand the ball off to Derrick Henry.
They can't lose that.
They can just run all
That's
over.
one of the biggest mistakes of the offseason, as you point out. Not figuring out in the offseason how we going to use Lamar and Derrick.
That's correct.
They don't know. At least that's how I looked at the first two
That doesn't take a week to figure out. We could do that.
Do they look like they
in
know?
one block.
Well, you do have a dynamic running quarterback. So it is. I mean, you don't
it's
want
not
to. Yeah, you don't want to minimize
agree.
Lamar to maximize Derek. You got to maximize both.
We don't need to have a conference about that at the Marriott.
Well, clearly we
could do it in 20 minutes.
Well,
got some
call
plays?
Todd Monken.
Right. Give him some advice.
Can we